are probably like, why are they still fighting for like all this stuff when like we don't have anything?
Yeah.
And it's like we've got so much that it's great that we're trying to get even more.
Right, and it's in that though we cannot lose that there are still things that are wrong, and it's hard. It's hard to debate right or wrong because it's all a mentality. You can literally wake up one day and decide to live a life where drinking juice before 10 a.m. is wrong and drinking it afterwards is right. It's that simple, right? Racism doesn't exist. Racism does exist. Yeah. It's that simple of a mindset. And so,
that's the trying part about it being so free. People could just say, "Oh, well, I mean, racism doesn't exist."
It's the freedom of knowledge, the freedom of control over your own actions. That same type of liberty we're granted here in America also grants us the freedom of ignorance.
Yes, sir.
And in the freedom of ignorance, you have a pool of ignorant people who are also sometimes stubborn. And if the ones who aren't stubborn are able, you can talk to them, they'll voice their opinions, and it just makes it a little bit more difficult to get certain things like the things that we fight for, rights, equality, the fact that we have to fight for equality, like equal treatment of human beings.
It just doesn't. The fact that, like, when people say, "Oh, Black Lives Matter," or like, "Stop raping women in like the workplace," it's like, why is the first response to that is to argue?
Yeah,
like what?
Like it's like, we're not raping women, we're not destroying Black lives. It's like, dog, you see it, like it's change it. Like the fact that we even have to say stop doing these things is already an issue. The fact that you can't see that we're all arguing and we're all angry because we haven't got an equal treatment, and when we try to do it, right, and you claim you don't deserve it, you claim that it's going to take too much money out of our pockets.
Yeah, it's I don't like the like these basic things like we want equal rights. Should it be anything for anybody to argue with?
Yeah.
Like it's nothing. I mean, sure you could argue about like if you think that we already do have equal rights, like that's a different argument that you could have, but it's and
then we don't.
Fundamental stuff is like if there's a wrong, the first response shouldn't be, "Oh, I mean it's not wrong, you know?" Like,
yeah. It's like it's bad, but it's gonna get better.
You guys had a black president. Yeah. Why are you upset?
We gave you February. You guys.
The shortest month of the year.
Yeah. Oh God, bro. I mean, I always been thinking that. I'm like, yeah, bro.
Yeah, they pull one on us.
They cut our celebration 3 days short. With
but
that
But the worst part for me, it's great to have like a month dedicated to like your heritage and stuff. But I mean, it sort of gives people an excuse to like, oh, we're only going to celebrate it then. Like, Black history and Black culture should be celebrated throughout the year. And just to keep it on 1 month, I mean, it's great to get that recognition, don't get me wrong. But in a time like this, it's like, why do we have to and it's not even like we're learning different stuff. We're learning the same stuff every month. It's nothing different.
And it's the same. And when you're in a school, it's the same few people.
The same
right?
little story. Rosa
Parks
started that big boycott.
Yeah.
Here comes Dr. You didn't even learn about Malcolm X.
You just heard that he was the opposite of MLK.
You just heard he was just like the bad version of MLK.
And you hear about Harriet Tubman. You know, who else? It's just like the very Barack.
Oh yeah.
You hear about Barack. It is, you know, the deeper you get into the history or whatever, the more time passes within the month. By the end of the month, it's like, okay, it's over. Let's rip out the banners, rip out the faces and the names and the biographies, and let's go back to focusing on getting 5s on our test.
It definitely just gives an excuse for like that same little story that's just getting like smashed into your head about, oh, well, I mean, Rosa Parks sat on the bus, started a big boycott, here comes Dr. King, solve racism. Woohoo!
Yeah, and there will be times like this where it's like, yeah, she wasn't the first one to sit on the bus. then everybody's like,
what?
No.
I mean, it's that same history. I mean, give it up to whoever's writing these stories.
Yeah.
I mean, or whoever's framing this history, because it's like whenever somebody brings up something that differs from that, like everybody's like, oh, no, that couldn't have happened.
Yeah, like not even to go dive into it, but I'll mention the first black Jews, and we'll just have a conversation about that later and confuse the hell out of everybody,
like,
right?
huh?
It's like black Jews.
Black Jews?
What? Like, nah, bro.
Yeah, I'm an Israelite. Don't call me black no more.
Like, you don't understand how much history that we have. So when we mention our facts and stuff like that, they think it relies in the history book. Like, American history... American black history shouldn't be two different subjects you have to take.
Facts. I mean, American history is, or at least in the books, is just, you know, the frame story of America.
Yeah.
That everybody, that this country was just, you know, it was just a couple people had a couple ideas of ultimate freedom and definitely tried to achieve it. I mean, they never talk about how they didn't achieve the freedom.
Still haven't
achieved the freedom, but I mean, hey.
Yeah, or like simple things where they'll change our vocabulary in the middle of conversations. Like we bring up reparations for slavery, and it's like Civil Rights Act, or it's like yo, we gave you something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Why are you still complaining and stuff? But when I see that on the news, and these people are like aggressively arguing these points, it's just like, you know, I can't call them anything but ignorant. It's like, can you do your readings? And maybe they do know. And what's worse is that they do know
and don't
care or don't even see it.
Facts.
In that type of way, right? They not even misinterpret, but they just change around our words to fit their norm. And it's like, we can't have this idea that people are less than, right? You have to face the facts. It's like, how can you say that, you know, all black people are treated equally instead of, there's no stereotypes, there's nothing attached to us, but in our social life, when we're brought around certain friends and families who don't look like us, it's kind of like, oh, who are you? And when we speak, me and you, we speak proper intellectuals, and it's like, oh, you speak really well.
Yeah, talking about you sound so white. Like the fact that me using just the grammar I was like taught. Yeah. And that makes me sound white, and this just goes back like the bigger stereotype about like white being like perfect.
Yeah,
or because I speak. I mean, obviously, you know, I try to speak.
Yeah,
all right, you know, but it's like the fact that me just speaking the way that, you know, the way, not that I was taught, but just the way that I've decided to speak is all of a sudden, all right. Yeah, you're whitewashed. You speak too clear. Like, what?
Or like, I know that like if I speak more out of my Ebonics language,
Ebonics,
right? If I speak more out of my Ebonics, it's like, oh, Amir, I didn't know you were like that. like what? like what, bro? Like the way I speak and my lingo, the words that I choose to use does not take away from my intelligence, take away from my speech, take away from any of that. Right? It's like, and it's a personal attack against who I am, how I was raised, and how you're comparing me to the other people that you know. Like, oh, I didn't know you knew this much. This much for a black guy, or wow, a lot of the way you speak and the way you talk about things. I haven't met a lot of people who talk like that, who look like you, and it's like, do I take that as a compliment?
Yeah.
Or am I like, I don't even know how to really take that, because it's purely based off of comparing me to people who look like me, which isn't what you should do, because they're probably just as smart in choosing to speak the way they're most comfortable with, to dress the way they're most comfortable with, and people don't understand how much we tweak, you know, to fit or to like stay away from danger, or like just how much we tweak to feel comfortable in certain situations.
Like I was just reading about the W.E.B. Du Bois, or his idea of like the two-ness of the black man in America. Like you have like the way you act around your friends, your friends and family, the way you have to act in like the corporate world, like there's always an inner struggle in every, or almost every, I mean I can't speak for every, but definitely in me. Like I live over here, go to school over there in El Segundo, where, you know, it's predominantly white. It's like I have this two-ness that I have to deal with and manage with and have had to manage with for, almost all my life. And it's nobody should in this free country, because I'm sure, I don't think that lots of white people have to have this inner struggle about who they have to be in lots of situations like black people do. But it's just, it's sad, but it's necessary, because you have to have that inner struggle to make it. And the fact that because of the color of my skin, I have to go through like an inner struggle within myself, and how like I should act around these people, how I should act around these people, and then along with facing the systematic struggle between me and my society, is like, it's nothing that anybody should go through just because I look a certain way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like changing the way I dress, changing not even the way I speak, just my dreads, dog. Like,
yeah, it's like you can't, like, it's nothing you can hide, really.
My locks are like my, that's how people know me by. Yeah. You know Amiri, because you see them nail locks.
You see them locks coming.
Right? And it's and as much as I like to embrace that and love it, there's been times where I've been in situations, you know what I'm saying, where it's like I feel I'm never uncomfortable in a situation, but I feel like I'm making others uncomfortable. And the reason why I make others uncomfortable is what bothers me, right? The reason why I make them uncomfortable is what makes me uncomfortable, right? Because if my presence is making you uncomfortable to the point where you have to stare to your parents, I'm there. I've been walking down the streets and people pull their children to the side. I've been around this neighborhood and stuff like that. And police cars slow down, right? That simple hat and hoodie situation. Anybody who knows lives in these type of areas, they know how it is. And it's not even just in these type of areas. It's other areas as well that we have to worry about. And it's walking at Smash, walking around UCLA's campus. It's
but you shouldn't have to pander.
Yeah,
it's just like American society throughout has always tried to paint just like black culture as like being like ghetto, and like the fact, like all this time my mom talking about like I can't wear like a do-rag to school, or don't wear a do-rag when you're out driving and stuff, and it's because me just getting waves, like that's just there's nothing ghetto about it. It's just it's part of black culture. Yeah, and it's like because all of that has been associated with being ghetto and feeding into all the stereotypes. It's just it doesn't make much sense that we have to try to fit into an America that is supposed to be all of ours.
Yeah, so. And I think what's the worst part that like not a lot of people like to really talk about when it comes to the stuff that we do is everything down from how black men and women do their hair, how certain people don't understand that there was a time where doing your hair a certain type of way, whether it was gelling it, whether it was getting it straightened, whether all that stuff was to look less like a natural black person, so that you could fit into a scenario, you get a better job opportunity,
exactly,
get a better this and that, and then people from other cultures look at us and like, you're trying to copy white culture. It's like, yo, that's not. Well, we don't want to.
we don't want to. We don't want to. It's necessary.
Yeah, and it's not even just necessary. It's a survival tactic. Like nobody understands how much effort we put into tweaking ourselves to fit into certain situations, and that's for anything. It isn't just a black and white thing. I go to a predominantly Hispanic school. There's certain things I gotta do there, and tolerations there that I gotta do. It's just like, as a person who is different, I think what we first have to do is have these conversations, because I want to have conversations with white people. What makes you uncomfortable in this situation? Yeah. Why don't you act different? Why is it when you're around me and stuff like that, you quote Kendrick and you quote J. Cole and stuff like that? When I listen to many artists, you know what I'm saying? Like, why is it you associate, why is it always trying to fit into black culture around a black person?
I see that. And, but I mean, like, I'm not listening to the country. Like,
yeah.
I just don't do that.
I mean, I want to know, have you ever seen the Raiders a banger? Like, I'm never gonna, and Green Tractor slap. But I'm never gonna